Hello, this is my review for Dune Part 1, 2021 film starring Timothée Chalamet, Josh Brolin, Zendaya, Javier Bardem, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, and Stellan Skarsgård and Rebecca Ferguson. Dave Bautista, probably a couple I'm missing here, but this is my review for Dune 2021 film review, Dune Part 1. This is my thoughts, my feelings. I've just did the review recently for Dune Part 2. I'm now gonna do the review for Dune Part 1 that I've written down here. House Harkonnen at the start of the film. It's a spoiler review, full on spoilers. House Harkonnen loses Arrakis to Atreides. Dave Bautista isn't happy about that. He goes to his uncle Stellan Skarsgård, demanding an explanation, and then the guy who was in the Dark Knight in the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, explains that don't think it was an act of love, and then Stellan Skarsgård says, when is a gift not a gift, and he talks about how the Emperor is a jealous, dangerous man, and he sees the Atreides flag rising, and he's actually wanting to get rid of this threat from the Atreides house because they could threaten his power, and that was a fantastic scene where we get Paul Atreides. We get at the start of the film we have Paul Atreides having visions of he has visions of Jason Momoa, Duncan Idaho as with the Sardaukar. We have the opening scene in which the ship emerges and the herald of the change presents to them that the Emperor has declared that House Atreides is to take full control of Arrakis by imperial decree. And then we have scenes with we have scenes with the Bene Gesserit, we have scenes with Duncan and Paul, where he's talking about the visions of him dying in future battle, which does end up happening. We have the assassination attempt on Paul when he's on Arrakis. We get the scenes in space in which, as I've already alluded to, which the ship from the Emperor, the Emperor sent to Arrakis. The visual effects there were superb. The scenes in which they're traveling to Arrakis, the ships there are fantastic. The battle scene on Arrakis, that was fantastic when House Harkonnen attacks after Dr. Yue disables their communications and they catch them off guard, shall we say. Fantastic scene, fantastic visual effects. I mean, we have Hans Zimmer's score, which was just fantastic. Roger Deakins' cinematography. We have that scene in which the Bene Gesserit witch talks to Stellan Skarsgård, Vladimir Harkonnen. And there's that big spider, which I actually maybe would consider to be a slight negative. Maybe this was a negative. Maybe that shouldn't have actually been there. Maybe it was all right. It wasn't great. Leans more towards the negative. Maybe I would consider it to be a negative, but it's more negative than positive. That's for sure. Even though would I consider it to be a negative? Maybe. Just maybe banks in the middle, but leaning more towards negative. We have the Stellan Skarsgård with a fat suit on, which was interesting, which I thought was just done well. Overall, that was handled well, shall we say. I feel like I'm going to pronounce this name wrong. Hufir Hawat, the guy with the beard, who Oscar Isaac's character asks, how much this is going to cost them, and his eyes turn and go change, and then he reveals it will cost them 1.62 Solaris or something like that. And he's I think he's half calculator basically. We get that speech between Oscar Isaac and Paul Atreides where he's talking about desert power. That was pretty cool. We get the Chris knife scene with Rebecca Ferguson. That was pretty cool. We have Javier Bardem from the Fremen. That was pretty awesome. I like Javier Bardem. He was great in Skyfall. We have the spice mining equipment failing, and then we get that great scene with the sandworm in which Josh Brolin rescues Paul Atreides. That was fantastic. Great soundtrack there, and by Hans Zimmer, as I've already alluded to, as I've already said. The film I'm going to mention is a slow-paced film. It's a slow-paced film, but when it builds and it reaches its crescendo, and then it goes down, it is fantastic once it reaches that moment, and it builds slowly, and it's getting more, you can feel something's building, and then when it delivers, it delivers. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the ornithopters were excellent. They were just cool. I thought the sand scenes in the United Arab Emirates, which is where they filmed it, in Arrakis. The scenes in Arrakis was just staring at the sand. They filmed it in the UAE. That was fantastic. The scene with the harvester, as I've already said, that was pretty awesome. Hans Zimmer score, Josh Brolin, Timothée Chalamet. That was pretty amazing. Paul and Gurney rescue scene, as I've already said. Sandworm, the scenes with the sandworm were just amazing. And the ending scene was just brilliant when Paul was just standing there and he's just like, in awe at what he's seeing. That was just phenomenal. Fantastic visual effects, brilliant scenery with them actually filming it out in either the UAE or maybe that part was Jordan. Might have been Jordan, that part. Just fantastic. Duncan, Idaho versus the Sardaukar. That was phenomenal. That was an excellent fight scene. That was an amazing, spectacular fight scene. I loved that fight scene. Gurney Halleck's war cry when he's like, with me, and the bagpipes playing, phenomenal. House Harkonnen attacking the Atreides, I've already said. Timothée Chalamet's acting was absolutely spectacular when he has his visions of the future of like the Holy War. Just creepy and enthralling. And Timothée Chalamet, like, when he says like, someone help me please, fantastic acting, great all round. Gorgeous scenery, that moment when Paul Atreides and Rebecca Ferguson are standing with their backs to the camera and we just get to see the sand. That was just phenomenal. Just excellent. Absolutely beautiful. We have the art design. I'm going to talk about like at the start of the film when Dave Bautista's character's walking up to the ships and he's got his suit on, he's got like a whip around his hip. That was like just the scenery and then like the scenes in which the Bene Gesserit or like approach Caladan and they leave Caladan. Just the way that was filmed was fantastic. The scenes, just there's so many scenes in which what you're seeing is a piece of art. Like for example, when the ships docking on Arrakis, the Atreides ship, and you get the shot for the backs of all the characters: Duncan, the Asian guy, Oscar Isaac, Rebecca Ferguson, Timothée Chalamet. The scene for the back, we get to see that was just beautiful. Just shots of art, really beautiful. Art design, costume design, set design, just fantastic. I love the design for the ships, costume design, just fantastic. The mouse rabbit thing in the sand, that was kind of cool. I thought the Duncan reunion moment when Duncan finds Paul and Lady Jessica, that was fantastic. The Fremen were pretty cool, like native villagers on this home planet. They were kind of cool. The sand walk, doing all that, that was kind of cool. The final scene in which we're going to talk about Paul and Jamis, we're going to pronounce that wrong, Jamis, the final fight between Paul Atreides and the Fremen guy, Jamis, probably pronouncing it wrong. That was just fantastic. And somebody wrote a comment on the video online and they said, I expected this to be the typical underdog versus villain fight in which the underdog realizes his true power and he finally triumphs in his last moment. But instead what we got was a complete subversion of that. And instead we got a one-sided dominated fight by a guy who's never killed somebody against someone who's had probably countless more battles, many more years of experience, and is just so much more knowledgeable on so many different things, and he should be dominating the fight, but Paul Atreides is dominating the fight. And on several occasions he's got his knife up to Jamis's throat screaming, brilliantly acted by Paul Atreides here, where he's saying, do you yield? And then the Fremen react like, does he not know our ways? It's like, you can't yield, it's death, it's life or death here. And Paul Atreides just keeps putting his knife to his throat saying, I want you to yield. And he just doesn't. And then there's that great moment when Jamis has the outburst and he just punches Paul. And then he screams at Paul and he wants him just to kill him. You're embarrassing me. Just get it over with, in a sense. And then you get that great background music, the background voices by the Bene Gesserit of climb up, the Kwisatz Haderach, climb up. And that was just excellent all around. Great score by Hans Zimmer, just fantastic. Just the setting, the costume design. May thy knife chip and shatter. Just brilliance all everywhere. Just fantastic. It's an excellent film. Dune Part 1. I'm going to go and rewatch Dune Part 2 before the end of the month. Maybe even twice, to be honest with you. But Dune Part 1, I've watched it a good dozen or so times. I could see myself rewatching it over the next few years a dozen times. I'm going to try and read the books, get that done. But this film is excellent. Dune Part 1, Denis Villeneuve did a superb job. Hans Zimmer score, Roger Deakins cinematography, the actors. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know who the costume designers and set designers are, but they all did a great job, and I'm just going to end it there by saying excellent film, nearly flawless film. Thanks for watching. Great film.